And you talk about the plain paper packaging thing for cigarettes. Maybe that could have been one area where he said yes to something so that it just kind of mutes the criticism a bit.
Absolutely. I mean, I really don't understand. I mean, I sort of get this argument about trademarks and intellectual property, but I think the government probably has got some pretty strong legal advice to say that their position is sound. I don't really understand why the opposition is digging in on this and prevaricating. It's going to get through the Parliament anyway, regardless of what the opposition does. It seems to me that they're just reinforcing this negativity just one step too far. It's like they can't, sort of kick the habit of saying no.
Quit the habit. And I agree. I mean, why would Tony Abbott, former health minister, health freak, step up and say, yes, we're absolutely behind this, but there are some real issues here. There's industry issues. There's corporations that do this packaging and all of that distribution. There's going to be a flow-on impact here. Why not talk about, phasing this in or whatever it is, but come down hard on the message that, yes, on the health front, we have to move to this.
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't going to work, why is the international tobacco industry lining the Sixth Fleet up off the shores of Sydney with all the guns aimed?
Maybe Tony Abbott needs the equivalent of political patches, do you think?
John Clark did an ad for the Cancer Council many years ago, and they've resurrected it, and they're starting to run it again as of today, so let's have a look at that.
As you may know, cigarettes have been linked to cancer, addiction, emphysema, heart disease and premature death. And as a result, we at My Tobacco Company are introducing a total product recall. All of our product will be withdrawn from sale wherever it is in Australia until we can guarantee that it poses absolutely no threat to your health. Because if there's one thing we care about here, it's your health.
But isn't that the point that Tony Abbott faces, though? The arguments are incontrovertible. I mean, the verdict...
They're not even making an argument,
the verdict is in. I mean, it's not like climate change. I mean, it is time to say yes.
It is time to say yes, but also, I mean, the argy-bargy over, well, we don't know if it's going to work. That's true. We don't know if it's going to work because no one's taken them on yet to do it,
According to leaks from the party room, though, Nick Minchin suggested that they should say yes to something else, and that is that they should not oppose the excise increase on alternative fuels. Apparently, Kelly O'Dwyer and one or two others had raised
Scott Ryan.
And then Nick Minchin came in behind to support them, right?
He did. My information is that, from some of those in the party room watching it, was that it was more a budgetary argument by Nick Minchin than a go at Abbott's leadership, and his habit of saying no to everything. What he was arguing was there are $520 million worth of savings in these measures, and if we are going to oppose this, we've got to find it from somewhere else. Yeah. That was the point he was making.
Yeah, absolutely. But also, he was arguing it on policy terms. Yeah. This is Howard government policy that was foreshadowed by the Howard government.
But never introduced, Dennis, never introduced.
Well, that was because it was supposed to come in this year.
But it was deferred, never.
Yeah, but Phil Curry, who got the story, he's had a big week, Phil, but he said, he quoted Nick Minchin as saying, when the coalition was last in opposition, we supported good reforms. That's what he was saying. And Abbott responded to that, well, in a choice between policy purity and pragmatism, I'll take pragmatism.
If you think about John Howard's always saying and always said, in opposition, we supported the big reforms, the floating of the dollar, the deregulation, and, has always criticised Labor for not doing that in opposition. Nick Minchin, I think, was putting the Howard line that we always supported good reforms in opposition. But Tony Abbott, in a sense, was coming back with a John Howard line, which is it's better to be, 85% policy pure in government than 110% policy pure in opposition. So he's kind of bought that, the potency of pragmatism, but conflicts with then what kind of conviction politician are you? What do you stand for?
I have to declare myself, I mean, my wife's a lobbyist for the fuel-efficient industries, or the greener fuel industries. But the argument is, of course, too, why do you tax LPG and ethanol, while at the same time you're introducing direct action on carbon?
The idea you treat them all the same way.
Well, there is that argument. There is that policy argument as well.
And then until you have an overarching policy that says, OK, we're going to have a preference for green thing, you do it in that context. Otherwise, it's all itsy-bitsy.
OK, more with our panel shortly. Dennis Atkins, Glenn Milne and Fran Kelly. But now, here's Mike Bowers and Talking Pictures.